Hi guys, it's Mr. Taylor here. I've got the third video in the English Language Paper 1 Section A series today for you. It's using the same text as we've done for the previous two questions, Boy in the Striped Pyjamas. So if you've got that in front of you, that's great. But as with the previous videos, I should put it on the screen anyway. Okay, so we're doing question 3 today. Is my pen working? My pen is working. We're doing question 3 today. So let's get started. So just like with the previous questions, it's the same steps at the beginning. You read the question, then you read and highlight the source and choose some quotes, and then you answer the question. So step 1, then read the question. This is what the question is always going to be like. On other questions, it might change a little bit between exams, but it's always going to say exactly this, apart from this part here will change slightly. This part here will change very, very slightly. But the main question, this, and this is always going to be the same. It's always going to say you need to think about the whole source. Text in the beginning of the novel. How has the writer structured the text to interest you as a reader? And it gives you a little clue about what you can say at the bottom. It says you can write about what the writer focuses your attention on at the beginning of the source, how and why the writer changes the focus as the source develops, and then any other structural features that interest you. And it's worth 8 marks. So you should spend about 10 minutes doing this question. So basically what this question is talking about is the structure, the way a text is built, okay? So if you imagine this is the text here, right? Let's say the text is only 3 sentences long. There's this sentence here, this one here, and this one here. You might notice that all 3 focus on... When I say focus, what I mean is imagine this. I'll explain why this picture of a torch here. You can get a torch and you can shine a torch on something. So A, B, C. I could shine that torch on A and I'm focusing on it. And I could spend the whole time with that torch focusing just on A and nothing else, never looking at B or C. Or I could swap the torch from A to B to C, back to B, back to C, back to A. I could swap it around a lot. Okay, that's what it means with focus. Right, so when I say focus, that's what I mean. Going to a text, a story, or a book, the writer can focus on certain things. So maybe the writer focuses on the setting all the way through. Maybe you open the extract in the exam and the whole source is about the setting. It describes the trees, describes the weather, describes the ground and the clouds and the sky, whatever. It's just about the setting all the way through. Well, in that case, they've structured it by making it about the setting all the way through. Or you might notice that at the beginning of the source, it's all about the setting, and then very quickly it changes to be about the character, and then maybe at the end it goes back to the setting again. Well, that's about structure because you're talking about the way it's built, okay, the way it's put together, and that's what structure is. It's the way the text is put together, and there's loads of things you can say about this, but just to simplify it, the first few times we're going to write this question, we're just going to say one of 2 things. We're either going to say that the writer shifts the narrative focus throughout the text. That whole thing I was just talking about, what you focus on, we're going to call that narrative focus, and shift means changing. So you're either going to say that in your answer to this question, you're either going to say, yeah, the writer shifts the narrative focus. It swaps between lots of different focuses, or foci, this plural focus. Or you're going to say, do you know what, actually this writer maintains the narrative focus all the way through. It's just setting that he focuses on or she focuses on. It's just one focus. Okay, so you're either going to say it shifts the focus or maintains the narrative focus. Just note down in your keywords these words in your notes. Shifting the narrative focus or maintaining the narrative focus. And that's going to help you out. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. So... read through the text again. I'll pause the video, read through the text. Okay, and then read through the end of it again. Great. I've actually chosen the quotes for us today. When we do the second series of the same questions with a new text, I'll get you to choose your own quotes. But because it's the first time you've done it, I'm going to choose them for you today. So here are some quotes from across the text. This one's from very near the beginning, and then a bit further on, and then near the end, right? So it's important for this question to make sure you're picking quotes from across the text. Don't just choose 3 quotes from this paragraph here, because otherwise you're not talking about the structure, are you? You're just talking about the beginning. So you want to have them fairly spread out throughout the text to make sure you're talking about the whole text, right? So I chose these quotes, so I don't have it anymore. So he's talking about the watch. I never asked to wear one, talking about the Star of David. one of the sons was bigger than me and he hit me even though I did nothing wrong, and there weren't any doors. If there had been, we would all have got off. So all of these are from Shmuel, and I asked myself, right, so what's the focus in these quotations? Is it the same? Is it different? Well, they're all Shmuel, and they all kind of make us feel sad for Shmuel. We kind of feel sympathy for him. He's going through a really bad time, really tough time, really horrific time. So I would say that the narrative focus in these quotations is the same. It's maintaining the narrative focus. All right, which I'll come back to in a minute. So here's my quotations. You can write them down if you want to. Right. So this is how you actually answer the question. You're going to start off with a little mini intro, just a sentence or two, and in your intro you're going to say, how is the text structured? And this is where you put either the thing we talked about at the beginning, the maintain. So hard to do dots with this pen. Maintain or shifting of the narrative focus. So is there a maintained focus? Is it a shifting focus? And if it's maintained, what does that focus on? If it's shifting, what does it move from and to? So is the focus on sympathy for Shmuel all the way through? Or does the shifting focus change from Shmuel's sympathy to Bruno's sympathy? Or does it shift from setting to describing the soldiers and then to Shmuel? What is the shifting focus, right? And then, is there one or is there lots of little foci? And then after that, you need to say, what's the effect of this? What is the effect of the fact that it shifts? Does it make it feel more realistic because we're more immersed in the setting? Does it make it more engaging? Does it make us feel sorry for the characters more because it's more realistic? It doesn't matter. Just to think of an effect caused by the thing that you just said. And if you think that effect is the case, then you're right. There's no wrong answer as long as you think it genuinely does happen. So after you've written your intro, you're then going to go on to little mini paragraphs, and the mini paragraphs have got 3 points. The first point in each mini paragraph is, on the part of the text that you're on now, what's the focus? Then you put a quote to prove that is the focus, and then at the end, you say, why does that create the effect that you just mentioned up here, right? Here. You said that it causes this effect here. In each mini paragraph, you say the focus, the quote, and then you say why that quote and focus creates that effect that you just said. So I gave you 4 quotations here, right? I'm going to already have written a mini paragraph for this, and I've written a mini paragraph for this. You are then, at the end of the video, going to write these 2 mini paragraphs to continue the answer, to practice the stuff that I'll show you and how to write the paragraphs, okay? So I'll show you my mini paragraphs first. So the intro, you can always structure it like this. You can always say the writer structures the text to interest us as readers by, you can always write that verbatim, word for word. And then what you want to do is say either shifting the narrative focus throughout the text from something to something, or you can say by maintaining the narrative focus throughout the text. Then you put a comma and say thereby, and then say the effect that you think it causes. So here's my example here. The writer structures the text to interest us as readers by constantly reminding us of Shmuel's terrible situation, thereby evoking, that means bringing about, a feeling of sympathy in the reader. I haven't actually used those exact words, maintaining the narrative focus, but if I wanted to, I could swap out constantly reminding. Instead of constantly reminding, I could say, I won't write it because it takes me ages with the pen. I could say maintaining the narrative. No, I will write it. What's the point of using the pen otherwise? I could have said maintaining the focus of the narrative on Shmuel's situation. So I could have said that the writer structures the text interests the reader by maintaining the focus of the narrative on Shmuel's situation, thereby evoking a feeling of sympathy in the reader. Imagine if instead of saying maintaining or saying shifting, I could say instead interested reader by shifting the focus of the narrative from Shmuel. Shmuel. Oh my god, what are we doing here? From Shmuel to Bruno and back again. So imagine if there was a paragraph on Shmuel, then a paragraph on Bruno, then a paragraph on Shmuel again. So in that case, I would say the writer structures the text to interest us as readers by shifting the focus of the narrative from Shmuel to Bruno and back again, thereby evoking a feeling of sympathy in the reader. So in summary, you just got to say, what's the focus on? Does it stay the same or change? And what's the effect that creates? All right. Yeah. I've put feeling of sympathy. It doesn't really matter what the effect is. You could say it engages the reader in the narrative. Engages in the reader in narrative basically means it just makes the story more interesting. And when you're writing about fiction, no writer ever writes a piece of fiction with the attempt, whilst attempting to make it boring. Why would you write a book if you didn't want people to read them? So all writers want to make their writing more interesting. So you can always say this key phrase engages the reader in the narrative. All right, so if you're really stuck for an effect, you can just say that. It's a little ace up the sleeve there for you. Okay, so after you've done your intro, then you do these little mini paragraphs and you say this at part of text. So is it at the beginning? Is it in the middle? Is it at the end? And then you put what the focus is in there. So it might be about Shmuel or Bruno. And then you put when quote, and you put the quote, and then you do comma, which, and then say causes the effect that you said in the intro, because that's a bit complicated, I'm aware. So I'll just show you an example. So at part of the text. So this first mini paragraph is at the beginning of the text. So I said at the start of the text, and now I need the focus. So I said the focus on Shmuel's hardship, which means he's going through a difficult time. So I said our attention is drawn to Shmuel's hardship. Now I say when, I need to put a quote. When he tells Bruno, I don't have it anymore. Now, in this, I don't know if I read this on its own. I don't know what it is. So I need to tell the reader. So I put comma, speaking about a watch that his father gave him as a gift. Which, now I need to say the effect, which straight away begins to build sympathy for this character. I haven't done the because I'm an idiot, I forgot. Because, well, why does that make us feel sympathy for him? Because it clearly means a lot to him, and it has been taken away. Okay, so I just say part of text, focus, quote, and then the effect, because that's actually a really important part. So it's bad that I missed that, really. Here's another example for you. Exactly the same. As the text progresses, so I'm not at the beginning of the text anymore, I'm a little bit further on. So it says, as the text progresses, the writer maintains this focus on Shmuel's situation when Shmuel tells Bruno that he never asked to wear a Star of David, again building sympathy for him because he's been forced to do something he doesn't want to do. So I say at the part of the text, the focus, right? What's the focus on? It's on Shmuel's situation. When, and then I put my quote, and then I say the effect, which makes us feel sympathy for him, and then I say because he's being forced to do something he doesn't want to do. Right. Hopefully those examples are clear. Don't worry if you are confused by this, because it is invariably the question that students struggle with the most in terms of understanding how to do it. So I'm not expecting everyone to get it straight off the bat, but what I do want you to do is have a go and get it wrong, and then send it to me, and I can tell you why you got it wrong. You might get it right, but if you do get it wrong, it's no big deal. I'll just tell you what you got wrong with it, and I'll help you out improving it. So if you are feeling stuck or panicked or whatever, just have a go and get it wrong and send it through to me, and I'll give you some feedback. So I've done these. You can see this. I've color coded it for you. What's the focus on? And then that's the red bit. Purple, what's the quote? There's a quote. Green, what's the effect and why? There you go. So you've got some examples on the screen there for you. What I want you to do now is, these are the other quotes that I didn't use yet. One of the sons was bigger than me and he hit me even though I did nothing wrong. Shmuel says that. And then there weren't any doors. If there had been, we'd all got off. That's talking about the train that take them to the concentration camp. So I want you to write a mini paragraph about each one of these using this same structure that I use for my mini paragraphs, and start them with one of these next, further on the text, or finally. You can start with something else if you want, but if you're stuck, you can start with that, okay? That's it. That's a whistle-stop tour of question 3. So finish those paragraphs off, send them through to me, and have an amazing day. See you all soon. Bye.